The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe belongs to a genre of literature called fantasy. The word genre refers to a category of artistic composition, such as in music or literature. So you may enjoy country music, reggae music, or classical music. These are all genres of music. This year we read Shiloh, which is realistic fiction, The Sign of the Beaver, which is historical fiction. You also read a biography and a nonfiction book to do your state report. These are all genres of literature. Another genre is fantasy. Here are some fantasy books that you probably already read or are familiar with. Even though these books seem very different, they all have some things in common. In fantasy, some events occur that are not realistic, not common to our world. Magic is often central to the story. There are details in the story that are fantastical, magical, impossible in our world, but completely logical in our fantasy world. Fantasy stories often involve journeys and quests. In fantasy stories, protagonists often cross some type of portal between two worlds. Often the characters live part of the time in a regular world and part of the time in a fantasy world. Fantasy and science fiction are similar, but science fiction stories involve the wonders of technology and science and are often set in the future. Fairy tales are shorter than most fantasy works, and the characters and stories are simpler, not as finely developed. Writers and readers love fantasy because it opens up a world of possibilities beyond our own world. Fantasy stories can suggest universal truths through the use of magic and the supernatural, like the struggle of good and evil. Fantasy can provide a welcome escape from the real world, allowing us to dwell for a while with the centaurs and the fauns. Now, let's follow Lucy through the wardrobe and into the magical land of Narnia.